There are many things happening in our universe that we are not aware of, and a recent event is about to shake the whole Earth. The government is known to work on top-secret projects all over the world, and one of these projects has been announced to the public by an anonymous man. This man revealed that this project would have a significant impact on us, and we are not ready for the consequences. In this video, we will explore how this anonymous man revealed something big that is going to hit us and why we are not ready. It is mind-blowing how our governments run several top-secret activities in the universe, and only a few top government officials, scientists, and physicists engineering the project know about them. While knowing about these projects can be exciting, one of the top-secret missions, time travel, is currently ongoing behind closed doors, and it is quite scary. One of the officials participating in the project leaked the information because what he witnessed when he time traveled was not enticing. He had to leak the information anonymously because of the nature of the project, but his stories about the future are enough to send chills down the spine. He confirmed that he worked for a government project in the future and was part of the people who invented the time machine. He also stated that joining the project came at a cost because one of the requirements was to have no family. According to him, what he saw is that energy never leaves the universe. The time machine took him forward in time to see how events would play out in the future and to see what it had in store for humanity in the coming years. Unfortunately, according to him, seeing humanity's future was not a pleasurable experience. He traveled to 2150, and in that time, he saw that freedom was virtually non-existent. The poverty statistics were alarming, with over 4 billion people very poor, mass famine, and the human population had to be leveled out to around 10 billion people. There was only one government ruling the entire world at the time. This anonymous time traveler also confirmed that there are many timelines in the universe, and these several timelines do not always show the same outcome. This means that his partners might have seen a different outcome for humanity's future, but that does not make his experience the same. He concluded by saying that if humanity still stays on the same path, there might be a huge problem that would lead to what he saw in his timeline. However, the problem with this anonymous time traveler's account of his experience is that some people don't believe him. Generally, people have always not believed those that came forward with their time-traveling experience. On the other hand, another set of people say these time travelers are part of the top 1% of the elites in our universe, warning everybody else about the looming danger. Some scientists still oppose the concept of time traveling, saying it's impossible. But not all scientists agree with this, and some believe that time travel is possible. They are presently trying to prove their colleagues wrong by actualizing the dream of turning back the clock and traveling to their ultimate destination. Ron Mallett is an astrophysicist who stands tall among his peers, having dedicated much of his adult life to the notion that time travel is possible. He has derived the scientific equations and principles upon which he says the time machine could be invented. Although he understands that his designs and theories will probably not give room for time travel in his lifetime, he has been striving, in parallel to a respected academic career, to achieve his dream of exploring back in time to see his dear father again. Ron Mallett's life was changed forever at the tender age of 10 when his father suffered a heart attack. While grieving his father's death, a sad Ron Mallett came across an illustrated version of the classic sci-fi novel, The Time Machine. That book changed his life. Mallett's father, an ATV repairman, had instilled in his son the zeal for reading and encouraged his budding passion for science before he died. So Mallett coming across this book seemed like he had found his purpose. With special thanks to the imagination of author H.G. Wells, Mallett felt his family tragedy didn't present an end but a new beginning. That zeal dragged him on through the rest of his childhood into adulthood, and 60 years later, the 77-year-old Mallett is a professor of physics at the University of Connecticut. He has spent a lot of his career researching black holes and general relativity, which includes the theories of time, space, and gravity that the legendary Albert Einstein famously explored. Mallett has also been developing theories about time travel in his own time, which led him to embark on his journey, a complex and often disputed quest to construct a machine that can visit the past. As awesome as this sounds, the professor of physics is still a long way from his destination. Some scientists, as we said earlier, have argued he'll never get there, but his journey makes for a touching story, fueled with the power of love and the potency of childhood dreams coupled with man's desire to control destiny in an unknowable universe. With the way Mallett is confident about his theory, you might relate him to the mad professor stereotype. However, Mallett didn't want people to refer to him that way, and at the same time, he wanted to make sure his ambitions weren't ridiculed or threatened in his job. Mallett had all of this in mind and was pretty scared about how the public would perceive him. But when the 77-year-old physicist began to share his ideas with the rest of the world, he discovered that he struck a chord with several people, something that he notes shows the universality of the desire to revisit the past. This seems true because at one point in our lives, Mallett said, we all have regrets, past decisions we wonder about, or people we've lost we long to see again. People started contacting me from all over the world about the possibility of going back in time, he concluded, and that was the encouragement Mallett needed to push on with his quest for time travel. Today, photos of Mallett while at work show him surrounded by equipment in a crowded laboratory displaying his principles at work via small-scale experiments. He stands beaming in front of chalkboards where he's written out his formulas. Clearly, Mallett's dream of time travel is profoundly on the move, but how feasible is the science behind his ideas? It is vital, though, as all of the science behind his theories on space travel hinges on the general theory of relativity and Einstein's special theory of relativity. To put it in a nutshell, Einstein theorized that time can be affected by speed, says Mallett. He gave an example of astronauts moving in space and inside a rocket that's traveling close to the speed of light. Because of this speed, time would pass differently on Earth than it would for the people in the rocket. They could actually come back finding out that they're only a few years older, but unknown to them decades have passed here on Earth, Mallett concluded. In reference to the 1968 sci-fi movie, Planet of the Apes, Mallett notes that the protagonist discovers he hasn't traveled to a distant planet ruled by apes, but instead to a post-apocalyptic future on Earth where humans have been conquered by simians. Mallett argues this scenario accurately reflects Einstein's special theory of relativity, which suggests that traveling through time is possible if one travels fast enough. Einstein's general theory of relativity is rooted in the concept of gravity and its effect on time. Mallett explains that stronger gravity leads to time slowing down, which is what Einstein meant when he referred to the force of gravity as the bending of space by a massive object. Mallett posits that if space can be bent, it's possible to twist it as well. In Einstein's theory, space and time are intertwined and collectively referred to as spacetime. Any action taken on space also affects time. Mallett further proposes that twisting time into a loop could enable one to travel from the future to the past and back again, which is where the concept of a wormhole comes in. Mallett also suggests that light could be used to manipulate time using a ring laser instrument. He has created a prototype of this device to demonstrate how lasers could twist space and time into a circulating beam of light. This prototype was inspired by Mallett's first job, which involved experimenting with lasers to study their effects on airplane jet engines. Ron Mallett's work on time travel has garnered attention and admiration from many, thanks to his proposal for a theoretical device that could potentially allow for time travel. Mallett has also developed a theoretical equation which he argues shows that his prototype would work. However, not everyone is convinced that Mallett's device could actually work as a time machine. Paul Sutter, an astrophysicist who hosts the podcast Ask a Spaceman, has expressed skepticism. Sutter acknowledges that he knows Mallett's work and thinks it's interesting to deliver results, but he believes there are deep flaws in the mathematics and theory behind Mallett's device. As a result, he concludes that a practical device seems unattainable. Another platform where Mallett's theory was not accepted was in 2005, when Candy Oleman, Alan Everett of the Institute of Cosmology, Department of Physics and Astronomy at Tufts University, announced that they had discovered holes in Mallett's equation and the practicality of his proposed device. However, Mallett's work also has supporters. One of them is British science writer Brian Clegg, who has even profiled Mallett in his book, How to Build a Time Machine. While not everyone agrees that Mallett's planned device would work, Clegg thinks it's an interesting enough proposition to go for an experimental trial. He stresses that if it did work, it should be noted that it's not a practical time machine, but rather a device that would produce a tiny but measurable effect demonstrating the principle. In short, Mallett's work on time travel has sparked both criticism and support, and it remains to be seen whether his theoretical device will ever become a reality. However, Mallett was quick to clarify that his ideas are purely theoretical. While his time machine is not yet a reality, there are other theories about time travel that have been proven to be possible, but they don't quite align with the common notion of time travel as portrayed in science fiction. In fact, according to science, time travel is already happening in a way that you might not expect. You are always moving through time at the same rate, at a speed of 1 second per second. This is not exactly the kind of time travel we imagine when we think of science fiction stories, where characters climb into a strange vehicle that spins them into the past or blasts them into the future. In these stories, once the characters have traveled through time, they must grapple with the altered events of the past or present, based on information from the future. This is where time travel stories intersect with the concept of parallel universes or alternate timelines. While many people are intrigued by the idea of changing the past or seeing the future before it happens, no one has yet demonstrated the kind of back-and-forth time travel that we see in science fiction. Moreover, there is no proposed method for sending a person through significant periods of time without causing causalities along the way. Perhaps the technology for such time travel is still top secret, just like the anonymous time traveler claimed. As far as we know, there are some scientists who don't believe in the idea of time travel. Even physicist Stephen Hawking, in his book, Black Holes and Baby Universes, argued that the best evidence we have that time travel is not possible is the fact that hordes of tourists from the future have not yet invaded us. However, science does support some amount of time bending. For example, physicist Albert Einstein's theory of special relativity proposes that time is an illusion that moves relative to an observer. An observer traveling near the speed of light will experience time with all its aftereffects much more slowly than an observer at rest. This is similar to what happened with astronaut Scott Kelly and his twin brother. Scott aged slightly less over the course of a year in space compared to his twin brother who stayed on Earth. The scientific theories about time travel include some weird physics that arise around black holes, string theory, and wormholes, as theorized by Mallett. But for the most part, time travel remains the subject of an ever-growing array of science fiction television shows, comics, video games, books, and movies. However, we can still hope that time travel will become a reality one day. Do you think time travel will ever be possible, or is the anonymous man just trying to sell a lie? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.